Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is our webinar, Mastering the Art of Resource Optimization and Utilization. Great to see so many people participating, really popular 30-minute demo session this with us. And for those who don't know me, I'm Ben Edwards. I'm the Head of Partnerships here at CMap, leading PSA solution for professional services organizations. Dual role, I also do a lot of commercial sales work with North American boutique consultancies too. So really happy to be here and really happy to see so many people joining. Good numbers still coming in. So I'll just give it 10, 15 seconds for you all to familiarize yourself with the Zoom panel. At the bottom, you'll see there the Q&A option. So feel free to use that at various parts during today's 30 minutes. Okay, see, we are probably at a good starting point. So as I just mentioned, today's webinar is a short, sharp 30 minutes. And the idea from this is to give you a high-level overview of CMap and the solution, taking you through a live demo focused in on resourcing, utilization, and things associated with that. This session is being recorded. You'll automatically get an open access link via email to watch again, share with colleagues inside the next 24 hours. The format is, I'm spending 5 minutes for those who aren't familiar with CMap, just telling you a little bit about us, how we're used by hundreds of professional service firms. The bulk of the session, 15, 20 minutes, will be a live demo in my fictitious consulting CMap environment, and then leaving time for Q&A at the end. So use the Q&A panel at the bottom there, ask those questions throughout, and I will tackle those at the end. Nobody else can see any questions that you pose, so feel free to get those coming in. So, mastering the art of resource optimization and utilization. CMap provides an end-to-end operations platform purpose-built for consulting firms. We have over 500 clients, 25,000 unique users, and are trusted by consulting businesses across a full range of disciplines and end markets. You'll see some of the leading clients on there, publicly listed businesses, international consultancy firms, and a large number of FT award-winning firms too. In any consulting firm, we see there are 5 core operational processes, and they're essential to your firm's success: pipeline management, resource management, time and expense management, project financial management, and performance management. And our solution helps you answer a range of questions that will be absolutely essential to you and other people within your organization. So some of those will be: how much pipeline coverage do we have? What's our staff utilization? How much cost have we incurred to date on projects versus budget? How profitable are clients, or indeed individual projects or stages? What does our revenue forecast look like against live and even pipeline opportunities? We achieve all of this with an end-to-end operations platform. I say from bid to bill. This is saying spanning the full project life cycle. But essentially within the solution, you have everything from ability to create job costings and proposals, manage your resources, embed a skills matrix, then track and analyze resourcing opportunities, enable people to fill in timesheets and expenses to give us that BVA view at a project or client level, margin tracking, financial insights like WIP and billing, and detailed revenue recognition, forecasting and reporting for your weekly, bi-weekly, monthly cadence of reports in operations as well as the broader business. We've got integrations too with best of breed third-party applications like HubSpot and Salesforce at the front end, QuickBooks Xero and Sage at the back end. So you get that single source of truth across your business. All of that functionality is brought to life with an easy to use and engaging interface. We found that really drives adoption, which alongside our 6-step onboarding process helps deliver desired business outcomes and strong return on investment on your partnership with CMap. And we're proud to say that policy has been backed up by clients who independently vote us #1 for ease of use and ease of setup in some of G2's reports, including in the project-based ERP category. As I've touched on, the CMap product spans a broad range of functionality, but what I'm going to focus mostly in on today is how to use CMap to master the art of resource optimization and utilization. So as I transition now to the live demo, just have a thought in your mind as to why it's important for your business. So for a consulting firm, we find that people are both the biggest cost and source of revenue for that organization. So leveraging them probably has a substantial impact on your overall business performance. Managing that ebb and flow between staffing capacity and staffing demand is arguably the single key process in any consulting firm. And if we can master this, we find it's the #1 characteristic in operationally successful, profitable consulting firms. Now, before I start this live demo, you can see I am in a fictitious boutique consulting firm and I'm in the dashboard screen. As I mentioned, today's focus is going to be around allocating the right person and the right projects based on availability and skills, not just factoring live projects into the mix, but pipeline projects too for resource planning, forecasting utilization across different people and roles, and how that comes together in a visual summary of staffing capacity versus demand. As a bit of a bonus, I wanted to show you a pro feature of CMap, which is our workload schedule, which is in the resourcing component, which is a drag and drop project tool enabling you to move engagements from one person to the next. If we have time, and I'll leave this up to you, if people are interested, I can also take you through a very quick demo of how to resource a specific project. So take an individual engagement, assess who's resourced to it, and then schedule time for them to deliver that work. And then there's also the Q&A at the end as well. So these dashboards are where people land in the CMap, but for the demo purposes, I'm going to go straight into our standard reports. So imagine that in my fictitious world, I have got a team in the UK and a team in the US, about 40 or 50 staff, consistently working on a wide range of fixed fee, time and material type pieces of consulting work. So also imagine that I've maybe transitioned off Excel spreadsheets and point solutions, and I'm in my first couple of months of using CMap. So I'm still in that initial discovery process, finding where the real opportunities are and where the challenges are within inside my firm. So we're getting on top of availability, and we're going to use one of our out-of-the-box reports to help us understand the capacity within the organization and then allocate the right person onto a project based on their skills and availability. So let's have a look at the availability inside my organization. I'm first have a look at my UK team. So let's run this report combining live engagements and pipeline opportunities to get a forward-looking view on who has got time coming up. So a bit of orientation on this visualization. What you're seeing here is split down by job role on the left, a weekly view of availability. And in my firm, I've got a standard 40-hour working week. I have my partners at the top, then my senior consultants, and my data analysts at the bottom. And as you'll see, it's color coded. So gray means that there's no available time for those individuals. The red box indicates that they're over allocated. Yellow, orange color is sort of partial availability. And then green is that near or at full availability. So what's the scenario at play within my fictitious firm, my UK team? Well, the three partners at the top here broadly look like got plenty of capacity. And as they're the most expensive people, I'd be urgently looking to get them being productive. That could be on non-billable tasks like networking, business development and sales, or actual engagements to improve the billing. Across my senior consultants, which are these four people here, they're broadly at capacity. Frank at the top, he's got some time for a few weeks in April and May. Sunil in second, and Philippa here, the fourth line, have a handful of weeks over 40-hour working week capacity. And then Charlotte, who's the third, from April onwards, look like she's got good availability. Then further down, our consultants and our data analysts, you can tell it's a real mixed bag. You start to get a feel for the certain people inside your firm that are getting all the work and the others that are more easily identifiable as being on the bench. There's also, at the bottom of the consultant and the data analyst chart, something called placeholder. So for these two roles, we've got pipeline or soft booked resource specific to that job role that is being pulled through. So that's an unidentified time that we need to allocate. And that's probably been based on the fact that somebody in sales or somebody in BD identified they needed a consultant or a data analyst, but weren't exactly sure who was going to fulfill that specific opportunity. And if you're in ops, it'll probably be your role to actually do that allocation. So overall, this is a good report to sense check the availability at a high level. And it's also really valuable when a new piece of work is being discussed. So the scenario here is, let's imagine I'm potentially got an engagement last minute from a UK client. The work is going to be needed to be complete in the next month or so. And it's estimated to be about 100 hours of a data analyst time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter my report. So we use the set filters, and then we pick the role, and then we have a look for the data analysts and run that report to see in that team who has got availability. So out of the potential candidates for this last minute engagement, Anissa is not looking like a potential option. We can see why. She is already working on 4 different pieces of work and has got some time off booked against an internal code. However, Tristan, Carl, and Jenny do have availability over the next 4 weeks, so that could potentially be interesting. But we've also deep enough understanding from the client brief to ascertain the best person for delivery on this project actually needs critical path expertise in my fictitious consultancy. So I've set up custom fields that I can then filter against. I've also built a skills matrix for everyone across my team, so I know who has got what experience or expertise, and I can then filter that even further and identify, okay, great, it looks like Carl is probably the person who is going to be available to do that piece of work. I mentioned when looking at Anita's, there's these internal codes. So you'll see that not only are projects, either pipeline or live engagements, tracked against people, but you've also got that ability to ascertain whether people are on holiday, maternity leave, spending time on business development, conferences, external training, IP creation, whatever it is, you configure those internal codes specific to your organization, which can then impact availability. So Carl is looking like the person who not only has the availability, he's got the right job profile and also the right skills and expertise. For a power move inside your organization, you might also want to suggest to the person who was talking to you about whether we could run that project, they might want to use the CRM functionality and create that as a pipeline greater visibility. But we'll save that for another day. Now we're going to have a look at staff utilization. So quite often in professional services firms, this is a backwards looking metric, one that is keenly kept an eye on from a KPI standpoint. We have got a forward looking view of staff utilization. I'm going to again just run this purely from my UK office. Again, just a bit of context. I'm viewing this utilization as against 100% target. And I've got this viewed again by job role first on a week by week forward looking view. We have the color coding in again. So the red is showing low utilization rate. The orangey yellow color is mid-range utilization against target, and then the green is showing at or close to utilization target, and then this white with red box is over utilization target. This is factoring in things that you would expect to be factored in for real people and utilization targets, including engagements they're working on, but also those internal codes that we talked about a minute or so ago, to give you that full picture of demand against the roles. So I've got a couple of scenarios that are really useful to evaluate against when using the staff utilization report. First scenario is you've got a weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly operations meeting with senior leaders within inside your business, and they've come to you and they've said, okay, we've got some concerns about choppy performance across the mid-level people inside our organization. So in my fictitious world, that's these. Some people are performing really well, some people are performing really poorly. Some people are delivering a lot, some people aren't delivering a lot. But you've always really struggled to identify who exactly those people are. Who are the ones that are going over and above, maybe those who aren't on engagements and definitely need to be. So straight away, when looking at our team of consultants here, we can see who's going to smash their utilization target. Well, we've got Katie, who over the coming weeks and even months is way over 100% utilization. And then we've got a number of others. So Rick above her, and then Samina just below, who obviously don't. Now, I've overrated these numbers to overemphasize the point. But obviously, what you're looking for is consistency across your team, where the majority are at or close to their target utilization rate. This can also support your resource planning, so you can see in advance who's going to be less busy and who's going to be more available for upcoming work. This report, we also find, helps answer another really important question, which is, do I need to hire, yes or no? So taking that scenario on a bit further that we started with, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly operations meeting, those leaders who are putting the performance of the consultants are also saying, we don't need to be making any hires. And based on the fact that our partners, as we saw earlier, generally have lots of capacity, that might be the case. But actually, if we look at our data analysts, for instance, we can see over April, May, June, July, some exceptionally high utilization rates for that team. And if we look below that, you'll see a line called available overspill. I'm just hovering and I've highlighted in green there, and a numeric value associated with that. Okay, so that numeric value here, again, just highlighting it green at the bottom there. What that is it's a value based on the full-time equivalent number of people in that team available, or in this case, not. Positive number is displayed if you have available people within that team, and negative value, like you see here, if the demand is far outweighing the supply. So now at peak times, we can see over the next 3 or 4 months, that team likely to need somewhere between 1.6, 1.4, 0.7 additional full-time equivalent headcount. You've got the data here then to start actually thinking about all of the options. So do you pay overtime for them to deliver that work? Do you stretch out existing engagements, maybe into periods where they're going to be, that team's a little quieter? Do you bring in short-term contractors, but they've got a higher cost? Or, as you've seen with the staff availability report, there are other people in the firm who have capacity, but do we use them because they might be more senior? They might be doing work then that's being charged out at more junior rates and therefore lower margin. They're all considerations, but the point being you can utilize standard reports in CMap. They've got the data at your fingertips to figure that out. Now, how all of this comes together is the third report I'm going to show you. It's called the Staffing Prediction Report, and it's a visual summary of staffing capacity versus. This enables you to get a view, I'd say, more on the mid to longer term hiring requirements of your organization. So let's first have a look at live projects that are booked in our UK office in the dark green over the coming months on the x-axis against our weighted capacity in the dotted blue, adjusted for time off and things like that. So what we can see here in the short term is we haven't really got a huge amount of demand. There's a steady increase through to June, and then that typical sort of like slow tapering off over the coming months towards the back end of the year. So based on just the existing engagements against your current demand, it's not looking great. However, within CMap, we have the potential also to pull in your pipeline. So let's run that report, and we get this additional lighter green, which is our opportunities that are yet to close, still in pipeline. And what we can see here is actually in the short to mid-term, maybe if we're able to close the vast majority of these, we're going to be at, and actually in 2 cases, slightly above capacity. If you wanted more granular detail, you've got a table below giving you more information to show you where those pinch points in demand against capacity will be, split down in my case by geolocation and then job role. So a common use case here as well with pipeline is obviously adjusting that pipeline based on how close or far away, likely or unlikely that is to close, and then creating different views based on that pipeline so you can assess whether you should be making short-term, mid-term, longer-term hires, tipping into associate pools or not. Whilst we've got time, I wanted to also show you that bonus I talked about at the top, which was our workload schedule. So those are the 3 key things I wanted to show you in today's demo. But acutely aware, a lot of people who've signed up for this will be ops, resourcing, PM focused, and then tend to want to have a holistic view across the whole firm and start adjusting projects based on the availability that we've already seen. So in CMap, you've got something called a workload schedule. So let's run our workload schedule. And the other parts of CMap, there's some really handy color coding. I'll just quickly pull that up if you can see. But essentially, it's telling you who's fully allocated, who's got time off, who's over capacity, who's fully available, and then a lot of other things on top of that too. And what I've got in this holistic view is a number of different customizations. So in my fictitious world, I like to have a look at the number of people and projects that are ongoing at any one basis based on a weekly view, but you can adjust that to daily if you so wish. You could also sort that by project, client, or person, and you can also display different pieces of information too. And if we expand some of the people within inside our business, we can start to see all of the different pieces of work that they're working on, and therefore why they might have capacity, why they might have pinch points or not. But it's here that I'd actually start to move some of those projects from placeholder, for instance. So in my UK team for consultants, saw that we had some placeholders. So I can see that Rick and Samina look like they've both got available time for me to be able to move these projects, resource them onto it. Actually, Samina is allocated to a potential pipeline engagement. So if that closes, she will have an over allocation. So most likely it'd be Rick that I pick, and I simply drag and drop that over to him, and then he takes that piece of work going forwards. If we have a look at the senior consultants, we can also see further down the line where their over allocations are. So here, Philippa has got an over allocation, while Charlotte has got availability. So I might start moving those projects, ensuring that our team don't get over allocated and others take their fair weight of engagements. Another popular view in the workload schedule is the bench view. And the bench view is perfect for those organizations that want to see who has got complete availability right off the bat. So we can see inside my fictitious organization, I've actually got 5 people sitting waiting for work to be able to put their way. And again, like I showed you a second ago, we could use the drag and drop to start moving those projects around. Okay. With 5 minutes left, I'm going to pause. I can see some questions coming in too. The one thing I mentioned at the top was if you'd like me to show you how to resource out an individual project, maybe send in a yes or a no in the Q&A so I can see the demand for that. Somebody's asking for me to show the HR functionality. Happy to dip into that. Quite a few people showing an interest in me showing how to resource an individual project. So I'll do that in order. HR first, then that additional thing I talked about at the top. Feel free to ask more questions as I do that. So the HR piece, essentially the skills matrix that determines that resourcing I did earlier is in the HR, in the people profiles. Now, everybody inside your business and even associates, contractors, recommend giving them a personal profile. Got basic information, who they are, job role, contact details. Anytime they work on a specific client or on a specific project, this updates automatically. Now we'll see here, this is where I determined what skills, what experiences, what capabilities my team have got. I inputted that data, which then enabled me to search against that. Also in the sort of HR functionality of CMap, you've got the ability to look at the activities that are assigned to that individual person. In the pro version of our software, add pages, so you can store documents, salary information, performance reviews, also against those individuals. Now, there was interest in looking at how I resource out a specific project, so I'll do that next. So in this instance, I've just gone to a project here. It's for a fictitious client. Actually, somebody has already proposed a piece of work. We've won it. The work is now in flight. People are using timesheets and expenses to do the delivery. So have that in your mind. This is a live engagement that people are booking time against. It was a 3-stage engagement. So we had planning, fieldwork, and reporting. And as we can see, actually, there's already people who have been doing some delivery on it. So you will see who that named individual is, how many hours were budgeted in that proposal, how many hours have been booked, what's in the future schedule, and then a positive or negative to display how many hours remain. So we can see both from this data point here and also the overarching data points at the top. Actually, in this example, this isn't a project that's looking in too healthy order. In fact, we're going quite a bit over budget. But to resource out people from a future schedule perspective, we can enter how many hours are required over the coming weeks. But an actual scenario might be, let's say the client has called you up and said, we need that reporting done quicker. We can see that actually 72 hours were budgeted for that, and we've still got 58 hours remaining. So let's have a look and see whether Frederick can do that. Can he actually do the work quicker? No, he can't, because he is already on another project for the coming weeks. So actually, it's unlikely that we would be able to satisfy that client request unless we had a look and see if we could switch it to somebody else. And what CMap does here is it makes a recommendation based on job role to show you who is the next best person to do it. And actually, great news, we have got Patricia. So we could move that phase of work to Patricia, switch that person out. She has got availability, and then we can use one of our auto schedule or our block schedule tools to input time against that. So the auto schedule, show you what that would look like. You spread the time, budgeted time across the project, or we could use the block schedule and pick between 2 dates and schedule a certain number of hours per week. So that's how you do that. Also conscious of time. Okay, people might be dropping off because we're at 30 minutes, but if you're happy to stay on, I'm happy to stay and answer all of the additional questions that are coming in. So for those of you that do have to drop, thanks for your participation. As a reminder, you get the recording into your inbox. Feel free to share that with colleagues, watch it again. If you've got specific questions, feel free to email in, use our contact form, and we can help answer those maybe after the session. I've got a few more coming in though. Okay. Can we show all project lists viewed rather than by person? Yeah, so we could do that in the workload schedule. So if I wanted to view it by person, what I'd most likely do is actually use the filter. So in my fictitious firm, I've got a number of filters you can see here: office, job role, sector, and then the PMs. So I'd probably pick a PM. This is risky because I don't know how many projects Kirsty has got assigned, but let's run that. And we can see, okay, no, she hasn't got any assigned, but that's how you would do it. You'd pick the person who you wanted to view what projects they were running, and that'd give you a list of all of the people that are assigned to their projects. Can you create bespoke quote templates that can be exported? Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't going to show that today, but as it's of interest, I'll show you actually how you can do that. So to create a quote in CMap, you use our fee estimator. Going back to that one we used earlier, just as a useful starting point. So a fee estimator, the first thing you would pick is your rate card. So I've got 4 fictitious rate cards for this fixed fee piece of work. I've picked my rate card. Then you would have had the option to pick a template, which is relevant for what you're asking for. But in my fictitious world, I do this planning, fieldwork, reporting 3-phase piece of work quite a lot. So that's the template that could have been picked, and then you can adjust that, or you can just use it as is. Obviously, you've got your different job roles with your different charge out rates that relate to that proposal template. And then at the bottom, you've got the ability to add in any additionals, so traveling expenses, third-party costs, make some adjustments like a discount, which gives you the total value for that budgeted piece of work. You've also got the ability in CMap to export that as a Word-based proposal doc, which exports this table alongside, value proposition, delivery methodologies. Again, that can be templated as well. So large parts of our system can be templated to sort of like improve the operational rigor. Hopefully that answers that. Quite a few people sticking around, so if you do have more questions, feel free to ask those. 1 sec. Make sure I've not missed any at the top. Somebody has asked, how many levels can your WBS break down into? If you wouldn't mind adding a bit of clarity on what your interpretation of WBS is, then I can certainly do that for you. I'm just not 100% certain what that is. Can CMap schedule days or hours rather than hours across a week? i.e. someone is booked from 9 till 12 on one day for a project. Yeah, we can do that. And for the person who has sent that in, if you wanted me to put together like a specific demo showing you all of the options available, that might be the best one, because there's quite a few ways that we can do that. And just to understand exactly what you want. but broadly speaking, that's possible. Okay, and the person's added a bit more clarity on what. So how many levels can a project? So we've got project numbers, work stages, then activity codes. Okay, so actually, this is quite a useful reference point for where we are. So if we consider the fee estimator the starting point for how we break down a project, you'll find, so first off, you've got the client, then you've got the project number and a title relating to that project. These would then be the stages, which I think in your world is work stages. And then people can also book time against these deliverables. So under this work stage, planning, you've got this deliverable like drafting terms of reference, reviewing, finalizing, and people in their timesheets and expenses can actually book time down to that level. And all of that then plays through to your BVA, your budget versus actual. So then you can get more granular insight into which work stages in your engagements. In this instance, the planning work stage is going massively over, whereas the field work is looking like it's on budget, and then the reporting looking like it's going massively over. Hopefully that help answers that. Again, plenty of people still sticking around, quite a lot of questions and like specifically nuanced questions. I think if you have got something that is a little bit more nuanced, honestly, the best option would be to, if you're a client, get in contact with your CS rep, and if you're new to CMap, feel free to reach out to me or use the contact form on the website, and then we can set up something so that we can understand. Really, the crucial part for that is to understand what you're trying to achieve, like the objectives and the challenges, to help you solve that particular problem. A more generic question, happy to answer this one. So, yeah, does CMap integrate with staff Outlook calendars? Yeah, we do have integrations with Microsoft. We've got the Outlook integration that works really neatly and enables you to, amongst other things, record time and also export new contacts companies to your CRM, which can be really nice, save some double keying. The Microsoft integration also works quite nicely for SSO, and you'll see here at project level across the top, the final tab being displayed is documents. So you've got the ability to, on CMap Pro, integrate with SharePoint, so then you can surface those types of documents at a project level inside CMap, which I know a lot of clients are really keen on. And then outside, I know I mentioned at the top the integrations with HubSpot, Salesforce, and the finance systems. We also have our own API. So you've got the ability to look at other integrations if you so require. Look, plenty of people still here, so happy to stay on if there are any more questions. However, if not, and you're keen to get some of those more nuanced ones answered by somebody, like I say, please reach out and we can set something up. It could be a phone call, it could be a deeper dive demo, whatever you want really. But just understanding the specifics of your business will help us answer that. Doesn't look like there's anything else generic. So again, appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully it was useful, and look forward to speaking to you. Okay, one final question. Yeah, so the Pro version is the third of our 4 packages. So we've got Starter, Growth, Pro, and Enterprise, for those who aren't familiar. Transitioning from Growth to Pro enables you, amongst other things, to have multiple entities, invoicing multi-currency, utilize our report builder. There's lots of sessions and content around report builder, which is, don't want to oversell it, essentially like CMap's version of Power BI. I've then probably oversold it with that type of response, but it enables you to sort of interrogate large parts of your CMap instance and get the sort of additional reporting requirements inside your business that don't come out of the standard reports. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about some of the other differences between those plans, reach out. Happy to share that information. Or if you've already got a contact, they'll be able to help you too. Yeah, no problems. Appreciate everybody's questions. Appreciate the responses as well. Probably do the sort of like third and final time. Unless there's anything else, I'll end today's session. But the fact that we've gone 11 minutes over, hopefully is positive. Look out for that recording. Anything else, let us know. But for now, thanks. Have a great day.